Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Aiden Productions podcast. This is episode number 19. Before the show starts, this episode is brought to you by Studio Major Collective, where bold style meets big ideas. If you're all about making a statement and staying major, this is your go-to for premium typographic designs that stand out and inspire. Their pieces are designed to bring a whole new level of creativity to your wardrobe. And guess what? You can get 10% off your order with code Aiden. But hurry, this offer is only good till March 15, 2025. They've sent me stuff in the past. I'm rocking their latest release right now, and I've worn their merch in previous episodes like this one and this one. I'm also teaming up with them soon, so we got something big coming your way. And their newest drop is releasing March 19th, so stay tuned for that. The link is in the description, so if you're ready to level up your wardrobe, check out Studio Major Collective today at studiomajorco.com and show the world what it means to save a major. Let's get into the episode. Today's guest started his career as a beat writer for the Oakland A's and has since spent over 5 years covering the Boston Red Sox as their beat writer for the Boston Globe. Throughout his career, he's built a comprehensive portfolio offering in-depth game coverage, player profiles, and insightful enterprise stories. Originally from New York City, his sports knowledge expands beyond journalism. He has a background in Division I and independent professional baseball, having played at the collegiate level before transitioning to the media side of the game. Before joining the Globe, he also covered high school and college sports for the Index Journal in South Carolina. We're excited to have him on the show today and dive into his full story. Today's guest, Julian McWilliams.
Hit the beach and ride the wave, buy a plane and fly away. Let me know if you're here to stay. Baby, this could be every day, so say it twice so you have to know. Windows down, let the wind blow. Take a ride to the beach coast. Too many places we can go now. 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 Hey.
Did you play baseball growing up?
Yes, I did. I played it actually. Well, thanks for having me actually too. Appreciate it. So I played actually it's funny. I played obviously Little League, but I played in the Little League World Series.
Oh, really?
The year after. Remember the kid that was overage, Danny Almonte?
Yeah.
So we were the year after. We were Harlem Little League. They were from the Bronx. We were from Harlem. And we made it to the U.S. semifinals. And coincidentally, we lost to a team out of Worcester in the United States semifinal in a walk-off home run in 2002. So, yeah, I played baseball up until I played through college and then in independent baseball. And then sort of got into journalism after that. In around 2014, I broke my hand in in independent ball, and I was just like, yeah, this is it. It's done for me. I was 23 years old, and some small independent league, and it wasn't going anywhere. So I decided to hang him up at that point. But so then I fell back on this, and this has worked out so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and from playing college to even covering sports, how did the experiences influence your approach to sports journalism?
I think it helped in the sense of because you play baseball too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, you play varsity?
I played freshman last year, so I'm going into my sophomore year.
Nice. But you play and like you understand where like there's certain nuances or certain things that you see in the game, like be it like where the cutoff man is standing. Did he get around the ball enough? Was he on his heels a lot? Like Rafael Devers has a tendency to be on his heels at third base. That's when he falls into trouble. Those are certain things that I think benefit me in my writing. And then also in addition to that, like the ability to be able to communicate with these guys on a sports level, on a level that's sort of like, I don't want to say, for lack of a better word, jockish. You know what I mean? Like it's just has like that. Like when you talk to somebody, you could tell they played the sport that you played, and I think players somewhat appreciate that. But then I also have to give them the space to be like, they know a lot more than I do because they're played at a larger level. So there's like a balance to it, right? You don't want to come off as like the know-it-all guy. Because you don't know it all, and they know more than I do, obviously, because they're the experts in it. But you do want to be able to, talk about the things that you enjoy. And
Yeah.
I enjoyed baseball. I enjoyed talking hitting, all those things. So it's definitely influences the way I write because, my excitement for the sport overall.
Hmm. Yeah. And then what MLB teams have you like necessarily worked with?
Um, in terms of
Like
like,
sports journalism.
okay, yeah. I covered the Oakland A's from 2018 to the middle of 2019. I got this job at the Globe actually. Unfortunately, after Nick Cafardo passed, he was a longtime writer for the Globe. And a job came up, and actually, it's funny, our Celtics writer Gary Washburn texted me. I knew him um, from the industry, and he texted me. He was like, "Hey, we have an opening," and I'm like, for a baseball beat writer, would you be interested in joining? And to be honest, like, I just thought I didn't have a chance, right? So I'm just like, like that's probably a little bit above me right now. I'm comfortable where I am, et cetera, et cetera. And he didn't text me back. So that was like, I'm like, huh, that's odd. So I was like, I texted him. I said, well, what do you think? And he was like, man, like these Globe jobs don't come open often. So you got to be able to. Sorry, my dog is just like freaking licking
Hey,
and
you're all
shit.
good.
Um, like he said, these jobs don't come often. So I think you should apply. Ended up applying, and ended up actually getting the job. And I was actually shocked myself because, I felt I wasn't necessarily ready for it yet. I didn't feel that
Yeah.
way. But a lot of times, sometimes you surprise yourself. And I was fortunate, and you have people that believe in you. So I was fortunate. I was able to have those things, and here I am 6, 7 years later, and I certainly feel different and understand that I deserve to be here.
Hmm. Yeah. And what was like it transitioning like from the smaller markets to all the way up to the Oakland A's?
Yeah, it was different. It was certainly different. I always tell the story like Billy Bean used to always bring like, the longtime A's executive that's been there for years, the
Hmm.
Moneyball guy. People don't know. Um, he would come to the field with his dog, right? And
Ah,
and sit and come to and like his dog would run around the field, and he has on like flip-flops and sandals. Like
yeah.
it's just like a California chill kind of vibe there,
Hmm.
right? It's not necessarily corporate. Whereas here, you would never see Craig Breslow on the field with his dog in flip-flops at Fenway Park. Like you just don't see that, like
Yeah.
from an executive. Maybe from the players who are walking around, but not an executive. So it was definitely different in a sense of the A's is more so like a mom and pop shop,
Yeah.
and the Red Sox are more, it's one of the more storied franchises in all of sports.
Yeah.
And there's more. It's sort of like that Yankee sort of Yankees are actually even more corporate, but it has that flair. It has that
Yeah.
that draw, and so there's a different expectation. Particularly, I think in these markets too, like East Coast markets. I mean, LA fans are LA fans, right? Like it's a big
Yeah.
market, but the fan is different, right? The fan
Hmm.
is different in Boston and Philly and New York than it is in California. It just is, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
a different vibe. It's a different feel. Like we sort of take in sports differently over here from like we live and die by it, right?
Yeah.
And I think there wasn't I want to say there wasn't necessarily that expectation from the writer to live and die by what he's writing or the journalist to live and die by what he's reporting as it was like the stakes didn't mean as much out there as they meant here. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of it comes from the fan, from you guys. You guys create the tone, set the responsibility of the team, set the responsibility of the journalist to bring you what type of content that you want, accurate content that matters the most.
Yeah.
Um, Informed. You want to be informed, and you guys are a very informed fan base. So like it's completely different from not just the A's, but just California and the West Coast itself. It's just a different type of fan that we have on the East Coast.
Did you want to go to Boston? Like,
Yeah,
was it
yeah,
more
yeah,
what?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like, I mean, I for sure. Like, I mean, I'm from New York,
yeah.
so like, this got me back closer to my family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my fiance at the time, now wife was living in New York, so like we were doing that long distance thing. She
Mm.
was able to move up to Boston with me, and we got married up here.
Oh,
So
nice.
like, you know, it's so we've developed a lifestyle, you know, and had to have our kid up here, you know, another one away. Um, so like we've definitely developed a lifestyle, but in terms of how I got here, yeah, absolutely. Like I wanted to be here from the jump. It was just a matter of like, whoa, like, am I ready for this? Right? Like, this
Yeah,
is a huge jump because, to be honest, I was covering like high school sports, like the athletic kind of like because I cover the A's for the Oakland for the athletic.
yeah,
But like the athletic kind of like saved me like from having to go the sort of like the more traditional route because I was on that traditional route of covering high school,
mhm,
college, then the pros. So like my expectation was I was living in South Carolina at the time when the NBA writer, I don't know if you know, but Mark Spears called me and was like, "Hey, there's a job opening for the Athletic." And I'm like, "Would you?" And it's this new startup. Would you be interested? And I'm like, "Yeah." Like I'm in middle of nowhere, South Carolina, covering high school and college. Like
yeah,
my expectation from that was to go to say, okay, maybe I can move to like like you know Durham and like cover Duke, right?
yeah,
Or cover, and that's what I was hoping. I was hoping that maybe I can get to a place where I can cover UNC. I know I love baseball, but like I'm just trying to get to a place, you know, maybe I can cover University of Richmond next and make $50,000 a year because bro, I was
yeah,
making $27,000 of my first job, like
hmm
27,000. And
yeah,
so so then I got out of that situation. I left after like I got the job at the Athletic. That took 11 months for me to get the job at the Athletic. And then
hmm
I got a year and a half later, I got the job at the Globe. And it's like, whoa, like 18, 22, 23, 24 months ago, I was literally not even 24 months ago, like, I was literally covering high school. Am I ready
yeah,
for this? You know what I'm saying? So there was that second guess that you have of yourself. But ultimately, I think the the level of comfort that I had in covering the game and covering baseball um, led me to a point where I was able to sort of sort of be a little bit more comfortable in that space and ultimately, you know, perform at the job.
hmm yeah. And then, did you start the podcast, the eye test?
Yes.
Yeah. So, what inspired you to start that show, and what is it?
Um, I really wanted to give a space for people to um voices that talk about the game. I think we talk about the game so much from an analytical level now.
Hmm
Um, and you know, information is always good, but I think the voice of like the scout, the voice of um, you know, just like player development guys, et cetera, has been sort of weeded out because of, you know, and the massive overhaul of front offices and the influence of analytics in certain departments. So I think that's a real reason why I want to do it. I wanted to give a voice to people that, you know, I feel like deserve that voice.
hmm
And you know, and I think a lot of player development people get sort of fall by the wayside and you know lose jobs and you know all that stuff, and they're the real backbone to this game, or the scouts.
Yeah.
So I came up with the name the eye test because it's something that you always just say, right? Oh, like the eye test tells me, you know, he's a good player, or the eye test, or you know, the eye
hmm
test tells me he does this, or just yeah, don't look at his stats, just look at the eye test because some players, right? Like they're guys that
Yeah.
their analytics don't necessarily match up with the type of player they are, right? Like so you
hmm
can look at somebody like a say, I don't know, like let's bring up one like for lack of a better word, say Derek Jeter, right? I know we don't tell we're in Boston, but Derek Jeter,
Yeah.
everybody respects Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
His analytics hate him, right? But if you
Yeah.
talk to the guys that played against him, the eye test, they'd be like, no, 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 no. Like his
Yeah.
influence on the game is way more, right? Like
hmm
somebody like Kobe Bryant,
hmm
analytics hate Kobe, right?
Yep.
But if you talk to anybody who's played against Kobe, it's like dog, he was a beast. I fear him more than I fear playing against LeBron, who analytics love, right? And so like we can talk all day about like the influence and who influences the game. And then there's other players like I love Marcus Simeon. Great great guy, great player. But he has like he's like a 7-win player every year. And I'm like, how is this
Yeah.
calculated? You know what I mean? How is it that like a guy like say a Rafael Devers, not even a Rafael Devers, but like um say like a Aaron Judge or nah, that's a bad example. But like you get what I'm saying. Like how
Yeah.
like you there's certain guys that you watch and it's a lot different than what shows up on the page, right? Like it's like
Mm-hmm.
certain guys you just feel their influence on the game. Tom Brady didn't have the best arm, he didn't have whatever, but like his like you felt him in the game, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you felt like you were
Yeah.
like it was like that point where it's like you're not winning,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that's what I enjoy most about this game is like the fact of like you get players it's like no, get on my back, you're not winning. Dustin Pedroia, right? Like his influence on the game in terms of no, do you watch that little dude play?
Yeah.
Like how he commands a baseball field?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's different. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I came up with the name and sort of, I just wanted to bring sort of the voice to the voiceless in
Mm-hmm.
some sense.
Yeah. And you've interviewed a wide range of guests on your show. Which has been your favorite?
The one with George Springer, I think,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I
um,
did see that one.
because it was like kind of a full circle moment for both of us because like we grew up playing together and stuff like
Oh,
that. And
really?
yeah, and
So you
he's
became
from
friends with them?
Connecticut. Our friend, yeah, we both graduated high school the same year. Our dads are friends, so like it was kind of like that full circle moment. Then also like the first one I did with the scout who first saw me was Mike Toomey.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like the full circle ones that have a little bit more
Yeah.
depth to them. My last one I did with my buddy Brent Warren. He's a agent for Title Sports Group now. We played together, so ones like that, and just bringing different voices into the field, into the space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how do you manage to get like like Alex Cora and Pete Fatsi on the show?
Relationships, right? Like
Oh,
you're
really?
around those guys a
Because you
certain
travel
amount.
with the team, right?
Travel. I don't travel on the team plane, but I'm on the road
But
with the team.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're
Mm-hmm.
like
So
at the games,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. So
Yeah.
like broadcasters
Mm-hmm.
like Jemai Webster, he travels actually with the team because essentially like
Yes.
Nesson is a part of, the
With
team
yeah.
field. Like Joe Castiglione traveled with the team, right? Because
Yeah.
he's a part of like EEI. So like, but like the writers are sort of on their own separate island. We're sort
Mm-hmm.
of more so the adversary.
Yeah.
So but no, like I travel with the team and you just get relationships. You talk to them, you get
Yeah.
their numbers.
Uh-huh.
Hey, can you jump on my podcast? Stuff like that. It's more it's really like a colleague, man. Like that we're talking about. Like it's like you're talking about like, oh, what's he like? What's this like? It's like, at the end of the day, like you kind of lose those starry eyes when you first walk in, like, wow, I'm in the same room as
Yeah.
so and so, I'm in the same room as so and so, and it just becomes work, right? And
Yeah.
so that's just really what it is. But
Mm-hmm.
but getting those guys stems from relationships.
Yeah. And during the games, are you just watching the game, taking down notes, knowing what to write about later, like deciding what to write, knowing what to tweet out so then people get alerts if there's any injuries or anything? Like, what are you doing during that?
Well, the day always dictates what you do, but you always want to kind of go in with the plan, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
always kind of want to have an idea, and then if you have to pivot, you have to pivot, right? Like it's
Yeah.
it's it's a game. It's like a business where you can't get attached to anything, too much to anything. You can't get attached to too many of your stories because then you got to write another story the following day. You
Yeah.
can't get attached to, what a player says and how, that might be in what a player, a back and forth you might have with a player. You can't let that weigh down on you
Yeah.
because there's tomorrow again. Like there are all these things that cause for you to move on, to have to move on. So like a normal day, I would say, is like I get there probably around like 3 o'clock. I start the clubhouse opens at 3.
Yeah.
3 to 3:50 it's open. So you use that time to talk to players and you say, hey, I want to talk to X, Y, Z, 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 this player. So a lot of times you don't get those players, right?
Mm.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes they're hiding out in the training room. Sometimes they're not in the locker room while the media's in there because they don't want to be bothered. Sometimes they're on the field doing their whatever work. Sometimes they're in the cages. They're mostly everywhere where you're not, right?
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
so sometimes you don't get it and you got to pivot, right? And you
Yeah.
got to just take what the day gives you. So, I mean, you just have an idea of what happens, and then once again, you see the game start to develop. You see things, these storylines start to develop. You go along with that, but then again, if it's a walk off home run, you got to be or walk off home run or something like that. You got to be able to pivot. So the main thing you got to do is in the moment, you got to do what's in front of you, right? Do what's
Yeah.
always in front of you, and then afterwards, when you have a little bit more time to sit with it, you can cultivate the type of story that you want to tell, be it on a podcast, TV, writing, etc.
Hmm. Yeah. And as someone who has covered the game, what do you wish more fans would understand about journalists in baseball?
That's a good question. Uh, I think that the field has gotten a little bit like watered down in a sense of um, the integrity of the I don't want to say sport of the field.
Hmm.
From like fake Twitter accounts,
Yeah.
tweeting stuff about sources say this person signed with so and so. They're
Hmm.
not even like the fake Twitter accounts, like the accounts that are like tweeting about Juan Soto signing with the Red Sox tomorrow.
Yeah.
And like these are real people, right? Like that we're seeing, like,
Yeah.
right? It's not like any of those like bots accounts that you
Yeah.
see. Like these people are really trying to be influential. And so like I think the Twitter world has gotten this thing watered down to like just breaking news as
Yeah.
journalism.
Hmm.
And even people like Ken Rosenthal will tell you, he's always told me, he's like, I just want to write good stories. Like the news breaking just happened to come with it because I'm writing good stories and these are the contexts that I'm building and the rapport I'm building with these people because I'm calling them about stories. I'm not calling them about like
Yeah.
breaking news. And so ultimately I think what I want people to know is that like I think there needs to be uh, um this example of dude, I'm just trying to write we're just trying to write good stories. We're trying to
Yeah.
put the best stories out there and I'm trying to give it to you as accurately as I can because there's a lot of inaccuracies out there and unfortunately it's it's because we're all in this space together now where it's like all these mediums have collided. It's become a little bit a little it's hard to understand where to get your information from. So
Hmm.
ultimately I just journalism I think is just what I want people to know is like it's just about I just want to tell you good stories about the Red Sox.
I really do appreciate you for coming on to the show today. Um,
Yeah, no problem, man.
and
Absolutely.
is there anything you want to say? Shout out all your social medias where they can follow you, all of that.
Yeah, Twitter. I mean, I'm not the best follow, but like I just tweet stuff when I need to. Like
You
I
got the
don't
real
even
news
tweet.
though.
Uh-huh.
You're not the bot.
Yeah, I mean, I won't, everything I tweet out will just be like stuff that I've said. It's not anybody
Yeah.
else. I promise, not a bot. But
Hmm.
no, my Twitter is by Julian Mac, and that's pretty much where I do a lot of stuff. And then
Yeah.
my Instagram is Julian Mac underscore, I believe. I gotta check
Yeah.
that
It
again.
will
Yeah, I
all be
believe that.
linked in the description too.
Yeah. But
So
no,
yeah.
man, I appreciate it. And and like you're doing a really good thing with your podcast and stuff, man.
Thank you.
So like, yeah, so just keep it up. It's always good to start younger. You get your reps in and you're doing a good job, man.
Hmm. And yeah, thank you everybody for watching, and thank you, Julian, and bit up.
Sorry.